Action. Hi guys, welcome back to the Gwen Effect podcast. It's your host Caitlin and Tamara, and we also are joined by this inspiring person who has been through an incredible journey and is here to share with us today about what that looks like. But before we hop into that, I wanted to do a quick little shout out and thank you to Blue Birch Design Co. who worked on our new sign for us, and we're so grateful. Doesn't it look good?
Very grateful.
Really nice. Yeah, so thank you guys so much for that. We're so appreciative.
We are shooting in the new studio today. Well, new to us.
New background.
This is the official Gwen Effect studio.
We've split it up
so
now.
So we ditched the couch and we are making this into
our new space. So hopefully you guys like it.
Thanks,
it's not
Joey.
Not as comfortable as the couch, I will say, but but it will do. But today we're joined by Chris. So Chris is going to do a little introduction, chat about why you're here with us today, a little bit about what our conversation is going to look like, who you are, some exciting things about you maybe to share as well, and then we can just jump right in.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
So my name is Kristen. I am from the Napanee area. And today I'm very honored to have been asked to come onto this podcast and talk about my story, something I feel like is not really talked about, whether it's, people feel like they're judged or it's a
stigma.
Yeah. And I feel like now, like throughout the years, it's kind of becoming more of a safer platform to be able to talk about it. So I have briefly spoken about domestic violence as well as an eating disorder that I have had since high school, and being able to accomplish things where I honestly didn't see myself doing it. I've actually had people tell me I wouldn't be able to do those things, and when someone tells me it's like, don't touch the red button, I'm like, I'm gonna touch it.
So twice over.
So as soon as someone says you can't do it, it's like, no, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to show you that I am going to be successful. So we're gonna talk a little bit about the bodybuilding industry and
what
how
led you there.
Yeah, how I got into it, and get a little bit more in depth.
In between, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, you were just saying before we started, you were talking about how we were trying to figure out like kind of the order of how these things have presented in your life, and I think. Well, you had made a comment saying exactly what you just said, that from a really young age, an age that you were in high school, and at that point you're really formable, that you heard a lot of or some negative comments about your body, and that started kind of planting seeds in your mind. Is that? Yeah,
it definitely did. And body image, especially in even in public school now, body image for females and males, it's mind-blowing, because you kind of only hear it when you're a young adult, not realizing that I have a nephew, two of them, and at a young age, they're already being bullied and picked on based on how they look.
And to think that, back when you were in high school, how old are you now?
I'm 34.
Fabulous.
34.
Almost 35.
32.
30 club.
Looking fabulous. But it's the thing is that, in high school or in public school, we didn't have the social media or access that, young children do at this age. And it's absolutely terrifying from just innocently YouTubing a video and ads that pop up talking about, different things and how you can change your body to meet
and also
certain
accessibility to view material, but also accessibility to put yourself out on, not that this is kind of getting off topic because we always do that.
We always get off topic.
But to put yourself out there in a way that's so public that people can be targets and be triggers. And so I think that in this case, if we're talking about social media, it's been a blessing and a curse for you, I'm sure. A curse for people who are struggling with body image and identity, but also a blessing because it has opened up a platform and also connected people who are struggling or going through difficult times and kind of had unity in those moments as well.
Yeah.
So when you were facing, how old would you have been then? Was this in grade 9?
Yeah.
Or when you first started?
It kind of gradually, in grade 9, through my basketball season.
Okay.
And
were you heavily involved in basketball?
Very. I played since grade 4. And then I went into high school, and then I also played for Ontario basketball, which
huge.
led to playing for Nike Development, which we got to go to the States a lot and play. And
that's good.
You know, just it was fun for the most part. Yeah.
Well, for the most part though, but also you're like struggling.
Katie, if you interrupt me again, I'm going to throw this mic at you.
This is just the Caitlin Ben podcast. Welcome. Okay, go ahead. Hopefully it will trump what I have to say.
You're probably very well aware, and being in the sports industry still, that there is so many eating disorders still within, you know, then and now within different sports.
Yeah, especially with bodybuilding, you kind of like, you know, the bodybuilding industry is a very small family.
Yes.
And that's why I'm kind of like, I'm very thankful that I did get into that sport, because I did find a lot of people who could relate and who have had struggles and kind of
community.
Yeah, and they can understand where, you know, I have some friends that don't even go to the gym, and then they're like looking at you like, you need a life, and it's, you know, this is part of my life.
But this is my lifestyle.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you feel good.
Absolutely.
When you go. But the thing is when you don't go, what comes with that?
A lot of picking at myself, and I'm a very, I don't even know how to say it. Like, I'm very competitive with myself.
Yes.
So when I go on stage, I don't view the other women as competition.
Yeah.
I find that they're very beautiful women, and we have an understanding what it took just to not even go on the stage for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fun, but off the stage, especially like if people want to get into bodybuilding because they see the leanness look and, you know, the glam and everything that comes on show day, but people don't understand, if you're going to get into the sport, it's actually the post show, because they say bodybuilders actually have 2 body dysmorphias. Okay. So when I was,
interesting, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So when I was at my leanest, so I was 130 pounds and it was 30 degrees out. I had my heated seats on. I was in a full blown tracksuit. I was freezing, and I would cry and say, I just want maybe 5% body fat on me. Yeah. After show, I get to my healthy look, and I'm like, I miss the abs. I miss seeing the definition. I miss wearing these cute outfits. And then you kind of just have to like switch and be like, you know, those outfits didn't make me cute. I made the outfits look cute.
Yeah, and it's not natural, right?
No,
it's not natural.
It's not healthy to stay at that body weight.
Absolutely. So. And I do recall seeing you at the gym a few times. I'm like, hey, how are you doing? And you're like, I'm on the verge of a fucking meltdown. Yeah. Only because it's true. I mean, and it's so brave of you to put yourself out that way, because you are somebody who has already struggled with body image, but now you're in this new position where, wow, I'm 130 pounds. I'm just lean. There's no % of fat on my body. No. And now it's playing with my mind in different ways.
And it was a backlash that I got actually even from people at the Napanee gym. Like
really?
I would actually get messages from people saying, holy hell, like, are you starving yourself? You need to go eat something. Yeah. And it's
really hard when you're also getting so much external feedback about your body.
Yeah. And it's
no
like,
matter what weight you are.
Yeah.
No. So I ended up going to a gym in Kingston because I went to Omega, where there is all different sorts of like, there's power lifters and you know, bodybuilders, like there's everyone there where they understand it. But I find when you're like in a small town, you're under a microscope, right?
Yeah.
So
absolutely. So I know that all too well.
In terms of like your, like having struggled with that, like in high school, I know, like how far out of high school did you enter into your relationship with your ex-husband?
It was 2010 when I actually met him. So I was, I had switched from St. Lawrence College over to Loyalist.
Okay.
And
this is for your PSW program?
No, I was actually in police foundations because I wanted to pursue a career in law.
Right.
Kind of take after my stepfather and my mom.
Your parents are in
they're OPP here in town. And I ended up meeting him, and it's actually kind of a funny story, and I feel like we ignore red flags, and
of course we do.
I literally missed the biggest red flag, and my best friend was like, mind blown. And I actually met him at Matt and Joe's.
MJ's. Do you remember that place? Oh my gosh.
Thirsty Thursday.
Yeah.
Was this in Belleville?
Yes.
Yeah, we went all
That
the
was
time.
the only club that I got into with a fake ID.
Absolutely. And that's
Yeah.
I feel like that was the only good club really that Belleville had to offer at the time.
They had little Texas, but that was like more like we literally had like a
pre.
Yeah, like we had a schedule. Thursdays it'd be Matt and Joe's. Fridays it would be Little Texas.
Okay.
Saturday would be Matt and Joe's because Little Texas was known as like the older bar.
Do you think we're considered cougars now if we went to there? Because I really want to go there.
I really want to go.
I want to go to Stages.
I don't think
Let's
that
do
we
it.
are.
Oh gosh, I went to Stages once and I lost my.
I'll be
flip-flop.
checking out on that.
Anyway, sorry again. So you met him at the bar.
And he introduced himself as his name was Tom.
Okay.
His name was not Tom, and I found that out 3 months later.
Oh my God, is that like...
3 months later?
Yeah, so he introduced himself.
3 months?
I'm sorry, what is that? I need to just stop you there. What is that? What is the... There's a documentary on it. John, his name's John, and he dated a bunch of women. It's a real thing. Dated a bunch of women, and had this like fake...
It's on Netflix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's John, and he had this fake like... thing done up of him.
Was it a doctor thing? Is there a scalpel
in
on the...
No, but his name wasn't really John. It's like Killing John or something. I don't know, but a bunch of women came forward and was like, yeah.
Man, they should did a documentary on that.
So Tom wasn't Tom.
No, it wasn't. And what was ironic was all of his friends would even talk to him and call him by the name of Tom. So I mean, I was like, okay, whatever. But he ended up...
So did he tell his friends his name was Tom too?
So they all agreed that his name was Tom. And he goes, well, let's go on a date on Saturday. I'm leaving for Arkansas because he was with the military. Okay. So he was going away for 3 months of training. But I didn't want to go on the date alone. And this might be kind of
I think that's a red flag.
Yeah, and it was. And this might be a trigger for some people, but when I was 17, I was raped my first time ever, and it was by somebody that I had actually dated for a couple months. I was in high school, he was in college, and I wasn't a big drinker, partier. Basketball was like my biggest priority, and we ended up going to go watch the Raptors game at his house. We had a good relationship.
Absolutely.
And I wasn't drinking. I was actually the DD, and he went and got me a cranberry juice because that's all they had. That's what they were mixing their vodka with. And I actually woke up the next morning with a pounding headache. My whole body was aching, and I was starting to have, and no one was there. No one was in the house. The people, like the friends that I went with, left, and it was kind of like those like flashback, like tunnel visions that kept like popping up. Yeah. And I remember just being in that room. Like I wasn't sure where I was, but I had looked towards the door. Like I was trying to like leave. The door opened, and that friend of mine had opened the door and she closed it. And I had to call my sister. And I didn't really talk about it for a couple of years, and I finally told my parents, and I did all the necessary steps to go and get in check, making sure I was okay. And I didn't even tell the clinic. I said I became sexually active, and I didn't ever want to come out and say I was sexually active because I was truly in my heart wanted to save that moment with that person I love. Right. And it might be cliche, but
did he steal that?
He stole it from me. Yeah. So I never went on dates. Yeah. And so
your trust is just broken.
It was gone. Like, and just having the like going through basketball, having that male presence telling me, I don't need a fat point guard. That's how my eating.
So on top of that, that's there. And now you've had somebody that you thought you could trust. I mean, you're young, you're vulnerable.
Yep, absolutely.
Can I ask a question? When you went through that experience, I'm really sorry that you went through that experience. That's really hard. And thank you for sharing that with us. did you feel like, I know that you took the necessary steps and that was physical. Did you take any emotional steps?
No.
And did you like feel shame, guilt?
I did. I felt dirty. I felt like
Of course.
it was me. Like I was like, I must have done something. I must have made the move, or did I say something? Like you start to kind of beat yourself up because again, there wasn't a platform to be able to talk about it. And I didn't want to be known as, and we're a small town. I didn't want to be known as, that's the girl that got raped. But following that, I didn't want the backlash, like, oh, she probably, you know, did it to herself.
Yeah.
Well, and because I think it's so frustrating too, because your mind isn't working
No,
clear because
it's
you
not.
were drugged.
You were literally like, it felt like half your soul was taken.
Oh, absolutely.
And you were gonna be going through it alone, no matter what path you chose at that point.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. So going on to this day, I brought and you girls are familiar with Bender.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So she was
Hi,
like,
Bender.
Hi, Megan. So Benny she was like my little chihuahua. And
I feel like she would be like a great bodyguard.
Are you
yeah.
Chihuahua?
Am I like Chihuahua vibes? Like, I feel like you're mine. I feel like whatever the most like cowardly dog is, that's me. And you're more like German Shepherd vibes.
Yeah.
I can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah.
So
I'd be like
She
a
was my
basset
little
hound.
Yeah, she's been through everything with me, and she actually came on that date with me, and she even said, if you hurt my best friend, I will find you and I will literally murder you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, cool, like I have my best friend, like lay down the
Setting a
law,
boundary.
like
Yeah.
you can't hurt her. So he was like, well, I'm gonna get Facebook. He said he didn't have Facebook.
And why don't guys take us serious when we say that? Like, your best friend is actually can be your best friend too, or your worst fucking enemy.
Yeah,
we know that all too well, right, Joey?
Tamara always takes Joe's side anyway.
No bullshit. Okay.
No, I always take Ryan.
Oh God. Oh. Anyway, so she crept him.
Yep. And she was like, she didn't even really see the red flags, because at this point we're like, this is Tom.
He's hiding his identity.
Yeah, he's in the military. He has good things going for him. And then so he got Facebook and he added all my friends, and we stay in connection.
Yeah.
But then like going on to the third month, we kind of like lost communication.
Yeah.
And I was totally cool with it too, because I didn't want to get tied up anyways.
It's new, it's fresh, he's there, you're here, it's easy.
And I wasn't boy crazy. Like it's like whatever, like I could care less. And I actually got a text getting ready for Thirsty Thursday. And
oh God.
And he texted and he goes, hey, this is Kyle, not Tom. We have a lot to talk about. I'm like, so you're a friend of Tom's? Like, I haven't really heard from him. And he goes, no, I lied to you.
So he's the one that came forth.
Yeah, he came forth. And at that time, I actually had 3 male roommates, and they were there when it happened. And they were like my brothers. And so at this point, they're like, we're going to kill him, blah, blah, blah. And
run.
So I always like to hear someone out. Like, I always want to face that person face to face, understand why they did something, and whether or not we move forward or this is a lesson learned. Like, I always want to give someone that opportunity.
The benefit of the doubt. Absolutely.
So my roommate Logan actually drove me to the base Tim Hortons, and he waited while we had the conversation. And he did come clean about it. And
did he ever say why?
He said that he had just gone through a bad breakup, and he didn't want anything serious, and so he didn't
Were his friends in
or
on
maybe
this
said
too,
about his
They
shitty
were all-
reputation.
they were all in it.
Okay.
Like even like the one couple, they were calling him
How uncomfortable.
It was, so like I was seeing these, so we ended up talking and trying to get to know each other. And
Kyle.
Get
to know the Kyle.
I wish it would just stay Tom at that point. But yeah, we ended up, he knew exactly how to
manipulate.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
do you think, looking at it now, you're like, wow, like what was I thinking?
Absolutely.
Red flags, but being in that situation.
Yeah. And at the same time, like I could sit here, like I've had a few people like call me stupid and everything.
Wait till they're in it.
Absolutely. And you know what? I feel like everything that you go through, it can be a lesson learned.
Yeah.
And
hindsight is always 2020.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
And we did get along really well. And then 6 months later, he proposed.
Okay, so you went from Tom to Kyle to 6 months later.
Can I just also ask a question? I always do this. Maybe, and you don't have to answer it, but just hearing you say you always hear people out. When you went through that situation of rape, did you have that opportunity with the person that was involved in that with you?
Nope.
Okay.
So you've never had closure from that. I mean, what closure you could have, but
No.
still.
I think I didn't want to
Admit it or be vulnerable.
Well, I just didn't, like, I didn't want to see that face because I just felt so sick to my stomach.
Yeah.
And again, I did have a lot of blame on myself.
Right.
Like it literally probably took me maybe 5 years ago to understand that was their
it's
doing.
not you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel healed from that now?
Absolutely.
What are some of the steps that you've taken to do that? Have you sought now mental, like therapy for those mental emotions that come with that?
No.
No.
I
Okay.
kind of just.
I mean, you being open about
Yeah.
it, obviously you've done something to talk
Yeah. And I think too, because
about it.
my parents, like my mom is my best friend.
Love
So
that.
just being able to talk to her about it and
Yeah.
like, you know,
It's healing.
yeah, as long as I have my mom and my family, my close friends.
The more people you talk about it, the
And
more.
now you've also gone through, sorry.
Yeah.
It's okay. I'm going to hit you soon.
There's
I
going to be a
was quiet for a
smackdown
minute.
right now.
But also,
We just love you and we want to just hear everything.
I'll go hang out with him while it happens.
work it out amongst yourselves. But also now the bodybuilding aspect, I'm sure, in a way, just prioritizing yourself and your health in that aspect has probably been healing as well.
Absolutely.
That's
100%.
all I wanted to say.
Okay, so
So he proposed.
going back to the proposed.
Yeah, he proposed and then
Was it a nice proposal at least? Oh no, neither.
So I'm very petrified of heights, and he
Oh.
actually did it on the very top of that Ferris wheel in Niagara Falls.
Fucker, I hate that thing.
So like here I am in like the fetal position, and he's trying to give me this ring, and I'm like, just get me down. And then when I got down onto like safe grounds, I was like, yes.
Yes.
So yeah, it was.
Should have stayed up there.
I should have just jumped off.
We don't recommend that, but yes.
I just jumped off. But again, in that moment,
Yes.
everything was great.
It's exciting.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
And then he, in April, he went away to Afghanistan, and he came back in August. And
So he did a tour in Afghanistan.
yes, yeah. And
How was that time being apart and worrying about him? And
it was very stressful, but again, my family is super close to me, and I had the women on the base there to support, like
To relate. So did you
Yeah.
live on the base at this time
I
as
lived,
well?
yeah, in Trenton. So I had like neighbors like mow my lawn and
Well,
like
and to
you know,
relate to, like,
yeah,
Right.
and they always came over. We always had girls' wine nights, and it was great. Like you know, but yeah, he came back, and it literally we went away to Niagara Falls again, and I just kind of noticed he was more tense.
Yeah.
And I always tried to get him to talk to me, and he's like,
Yeah.
well, I never went out the gates. Like, we basically just swept the whatever where the planes land, and that's it. And we played foosball. So I'm like, okay. And then the initial abuse started happening when I was trying to surprise him because his stepfather wasn't around before he left, because he was also military.
Okay, so military family.
Yeah, and I had a surprise that his bag packed and everything that was in the back of my SUV, and I was going to drive to Petawawa to surprise not just my ex-husband, but his stepfather. And I've always been open. Like, I never had anything to hide. But that moment he came in and I quickly hid my phone,
Okay.
that's when
Right.
the first initial He grabbed me by the throat, slammed me up against the wall, and I was actually not even touching the floor.
1 to 10.
Yeah. And that's when his best friend walked in to the house and they seen it. So in my mind, it's like, it was never talked about. That friend and that wife never approached me to say, Chris, like, are you all right? Like,
Yeah. Does this happen often? You know, recognizing that it did happen.
So
now, Chris, do you think, sorry to interrupt you, but
No.
do you think it's because, do you think, for the people that can't see, I just gave Katie the finger. Do you think it's because, did you see a switch after he came back from war?
yes, but it was more financial, like because they got a lot of money and it was tax free. So he was all about money, like
Right.
Money driven.
Yeah,
Money
like
motivated.
his ego.
Money
just,
changes people.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I would like to have some and see how I change.
But no, but so the ego, right?
Yeah, the ego
He fights
changed.
for our country.
Yep. And
You're waiting for him essentially to come home.
Yeah, and being in the military community too, we understand that when our men and women come back, they could have potential PTSD. So
Absolutely.
in my mind, it's like that was normal.
Yeah.
Right.
That was so
This is just
normal.
the effects
yeah.
of war.
We just got to work through it now.
Yeah.
And so we didn't really talk about it.
Wow.
And drove up to Petawawa, and again, it was just, it felt tense. But he was able to coddle me. Like he knew how to groom me to the point where he did take ownership. I should never have done that. I would never hurt you. That's never going to happen again.
Addressing it, but like no emotion attached to it.
But then gaslighting, saying, I just wish you didn't
Hide your phone.
hide your phone on me. And it was like, okay, that was my fault.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I won't do that again and he won't hurt me.
yeah. So I didn't have no lock on my phone, nothing. He could look at it, whatever.
Was he controlling of his things? Like, were you able to look?
No, I
So
wasn't.
I
no.
just, I think it's, important for people that may be in a situation similar to yours, where are the early signs starting? You
Yeah.
know, so the little bit of the obsessiveness, the controlling.
Were you allowed to like go out, see your friends, do anything outside of your marriage or your engagement?
before he went to Afghanistan, yeah, absolutely. Like especially small town, like you're friends with both males and females. So I had two amazing male friends, and those relationships ended up fading because I wasn't allowed to go hang out with them. Like my girlfriends even noticed that I couldn't even buy tampons because he wanted our bank accounts together. So if I spent the $6, he would ring me up and say, what did you spend money on?
Okay.
Like, it's like I had to start asking
Yeah.
permission now to spend money.
Yeah. So we had control over you.
Yes,
in
because
different realms of your
Yeah, he
life.
was a bigger bread maker in the relationship.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was another red flag. And then I actually canceled my wedding 3 months before.
Okay.
Because that's when I started, kind of coming to
Catching on, this is a pattern.
It wasn't healthy. That's when I was really emotionally eating.
Okay.
And
Emotionally eating. What do you mean by that? Like binge eating?
absolutely, like I was probably Harvey's in Trenton. I was probably their number one customer. I was eating there all the time to the point I was even hiding food because that was my comfort.
Absolutely.
And the weight start coming on, and he would even point it out, like that I've gained weight. And then I felt like because he was putting me down, like, why am I going to leave this relationship? I'm never going to find anyone because he's saying I'm this and that.
Yeah.
And
Had so much happened to you at this point to put your self-worth down.
yeah.
I think another point just to make is like, and I can understand some aspects of like what you're talking about, like going through depression and things like that. I think people are really quick to recognize eating disorders oftentimes as being like anorexic or bulimic and be like, obsessively thin, but not always recognizing how eating disorders are tied to depression and weight gain as well.
Absolutely. Because it's proven fact that, it does bring satisfaction for those couple of minutes and then it quickly wears off.
Yeah. And then you start like, especially what you're putting in your mouth too, like all that grease and everything.
So
like
that changes there, not only physically, but it has an impact on you mentally too.
because I would eat it and then his words would come to my my head, and then here I am purging in the toilet.
Wow.
And it got so bad that I no longer had to use my fingers anymore to put down my throat. I could just go in front of the toilet and just vomit everything I just ate. And I just...
How often was this happening for you?
The eating probably about 4 times a week.
Okay.
I watched actually this video today about a woman talking about like her binging eating disorder, and it started once a month, and then it became like once a week, and then it was more like than often than not.
Yeah, and that's what happened with me. Like in high school, I would eat little, and the one thing that my parents always made sure is we always had a good dinner all the time. Like those two would barbecue like through a winter snowstorm. Like it was, we always had steak or chicken. We had potatoes, always had vegetables.
The fixings,
Yeah. And then when I was at school, I would eat soda crackers and drink water. And then I would sit at the dinner table, and then I would go to the bathroom, and then I would purge. And then my mom actually caught on to it when I passed out in one of our Kingston games, and she took me to McDonald's and 2 other girls on the team. And that's when I started to recover. But then with the marriage, it kind of
brought you back into that old pattern ways again.
Yeah. Because I felt like that was the only control I had of my life.
Absolutely.
So I had control of what I put in my mouth and what comes out. And I think
how you felt in that moment. Nobody else could make you feel... you felt happiness in that moment.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. I understand that.
So this happened, and then you had mentioned earlier before we started filming that you guys have now moved.
Yes.
So were you married at the point you put out your wedding?
Yeah. So I canceled my wedding 3 months because his mom took over. Like she had an ice sculpture.
Oh God.
And I'm like, so when she...
What was the ice sculpture?
Did she chisel it herself?
No, she just wanted the $2,000 check. And I'm like,
God.
I was like, really? I said, if I was at that wedding, I would probably be at that ice sculpture staring at my money melting.
Yeah.
And there was only 5 of his family members up there. So I'm like, what? It doesn't make sense to have all my family to go there. So I canceled it. And then again, for those 3 months, he was super kind, loving. And we literally just put it together, had it in Hay Bay at my grandpa's waterfront. And then...
Are you from Hay Bay?
No, but my grandpa and my father, they grew up in the Hay Bay area.
North Shore or
South Shore. Yes.
I'm a South Shore too.
I live out now in South Shore.
Oh my God, we need to talk about this after.
Yeah.
Okay, so he now you're in a trauma bond, right?
Yep.
What you're telling me, it reminds me of a trauma bond. So, you fight, you make up.
Yep.
And then
it was
kind of
a vicious pattern.
Again and again, right?
Yep.
So as most people in domestic relationships will find themselves.
Yeah, and honestly, it became normal.
Yeah. Okay.
It became our life.
Yeah, absolutely. So you got married, and then how shortly after did you get married? Were things happening again?
Things kind of slowed down. And then we went on in 2012. We went to a Halloween party, and he became very intoxicated. And that was, my red flag. Like, I need to remove myself because I don't, like, in my mind, I'm like, he doesn't care if there's people on. He did it right in front of his best friend. Like, so I ended up walking home alone, and it was pitch dark. And next thing you know, I hear running footsteps behind me, and he tackled me down into the ditch. And now at this point too, the whole Russell Williams thing was happening.
Wow. And you're there.
Yep.
Oh my God.
I actually even took the old colonel. I got to escort him with 4 other, not Williams or whatever his name is. But the one before him, I got to go with 4 other wives and escort him to one of the silent ribbon galas.
Okay.
So, so he tackled me into a ditch, and it had snowed a little, and ditches collect water, and my face was smothered in the ditch in the water, and he grabbed the back of my head and demanded me to walk home with him. And
After this,
yeah. And then he physically assaulted me on our back step. I lost one of my earrings. Could never find it. It was my favorite pair of diamond earrings. And woke up the next day and like nothing happened.
Right.
It was just kind of the norm now at
It
this point.
It was. So he right there twice, he could have killed me.
Yeah.
And then 2000, where are we now? 2013, we ended up getting posted to Gagetown.
And that's in
New Brunswick. Yeah, in Oromocto. And in my head, I'm thinking, oh, we're going to have this clean slate. We're not going to know many people. Like maybe we can use that time to bond.
Yeah.
So at this point, I'm hitting my heaviest weight at 262 pounds. And I ended up getting a job at the mall, and he never drove. He didn't have a license. I had to be at his beck and call. I had to get up early in the morning, take him into work, make sure he had a ride home. So it kind of interfered with my work.
Absolutely. And now, once again, you're giving up your time.
Yeah.
For him.
But that's just another way for him to control
you.
Absolutely.
where you are and what you're doing.
And he thrived off of it.
Of course he did.
Like he thrived. And so I said, I would like to kind of just go to the gym.
Yeah.
And he laughed at me and he's like, you at the gym? He goes, okay, but remember, I have eyes everywhere.
Yeah. So now he's made you feel horrible because you're overweight.
Yep.
And doing something for yourself.
Yep.
But also, if you do something out of
You're
line,
not safe.
I'm not safe.
You're not safe anywhere.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
And that's why I'm so blessed to have the fitness family, because when I started going to the gym, I actually met a couple there and we started talking because
You're no one.
No, and I literally looked up to them. Like his wife her physique was amazing. I saw the passion that they had with each other. They were doing something together.
Yeah.
Right. And I always wanted that.
You weren't used to that.
No.
Yeah.
So started talking to them, and then I just started going to the gym more because he ended up having to go away on course. So I was always at the gym. And I first lost my 80 pounds. And I remember I was wearing this cute little pink
You're
skirt.
feeling yourself.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I was super comfortable.
Yes.
And he came home and he was like, oh, who are you dressing for?
Myself, damn it.
And I was like, well, I felt good. And he goes, go take it off. I didn't get any compliments or anything.
Yeah.
So then I don't know what it was. A switch just turned on. And when we lose, like when I lost the weight, I started feeling comfortable with myself.
Of course you do. And building that confidence.
Yeah.
You're allowed to feel that way of yourself.
And realizing I have control of this.
Yeah.
No one else should have any other control except for my mom.
Mom.
She still does. We literally have a family app that shows where we are.
Aww,
and the other night,
I need that for Tamara.
And the other night, she's like, your sister's in a field. I don't know. I can't get a hold of her. Blah, blah, blah. She's like, she's in this random farm field. I'm like, okay, Mom, I'm heading that way anyway. It's on my way. So I go and I'm like, Mom, she's at her friend's house. I literally just saw them in the kitchen. Get off the app.
You're good. Get off the app.
Get
Close
off
it down
of it.
for the night.
Yeah.
I'm sure your mom also has you being open and sharing your experiences. Your mom in the line of work that she's in, right? There's extra fear and concern there.
So at this point, did any of your parents or friends know, or your family, know?
Nobody knew. Okay. Nobody.
Okay.
So then I started kind of looking into the resources at that time, and
where were these resources?
Online. Okay. And there was nothing.
Okay.
And then I was in the Canucks and I seen a flyer that said, if you're going through mental health, if you're going through something that, you need to talk about, come find your padre.
Yeah.
So in the military, our padre was our, I don't know, not our priest, but that person that helps, almost like a counselor sort of type.
Right.
Okay. And was the religion behind this
Very big time. I wasn't religious, and I was actually looking into different churches and different religion because I thought I needed God at this point, because I felt like I had nobody else.
Yeah.
And I went to, and I forget what kind of religion it was. They always wore like the jean skirts and everything. And
Mormon.
Yes.
Mormon or
yeah, it was Mormon. Yeah. So I went with her, and it was great. It was a great close.
Amish?
No, not Amish.
Okay.
Mormon.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I went there, and then I was like,
Final answer.
definitely not Amish.
I'll take a lifeline.
Okay.
Call a friend.
All right. So we went with a, okay.
Yeah. So I thought like, okay, I felt safe here. Maybe I can go to the Padre. Like,
yeah.
like
I'm not going to be judged there.
No.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to get the help, and maybe he'll get the help. So I went and had a meeting with him, and that was the turning point. He did not help. He basically told me I was married under God, basically, and God would want me to work the marriage out.
Yeah.
Even after I told him the abuse and everything.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think for a long time you wanted it to work out, but it's one-sided for so long.
Yeah.
And he's abusing you mentally, physically, emotionally.
Yeah.
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 There was no working it out at this point.
It wasn't. And then that was when I said, I can't ask for help. I have to do this on my own at this point. Mm-hmm. And after that conversation, I was at work, and that's when I found out that my ex-husband, when he was on course in Montreal, had intercourse with a teacher.
Holy fuck, man.
So I'm in tears. I'm at my breaking point.
How did you find that out?
One of his colleagues told me,
okay,
because he was missing his wedding band.
Okay.
So I kind of questioned him about it. So I kind of had an idea.
He was a Tom then too.
Oh, probably. I guarantee. Loser.
Fucking Tom.
So I remember driving home that night from Fredericton, and it's about 19 kilometers from where I lived. And I was going full speed on the highway.
You were at your breaking point.
I was at my breaking point. I did not want, and I couldn't separate the two. I wanted to live life. I just did not want to live the life I was living.
And you're broken down so much.
Yeah.
How do I leave?
Yeah.
And with a lot of abusive relationships or domestic violence, that's when the worst happens. When
That's
you
such
leave.
a powerful thing that you said. I want to live life, but I don't want to live the life I was living.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's huge.
Yeah. So in my mind, I wanted to end my life because I couldn't separate those two.
How do I get there
like,
too?
Yeah. How you can get out of that.
When I don't even have the highest power, not even help me.
Yeah. Not even justifying.
No. And I didn't want to go to my family about it. And like, I felt like I was a burden. Like I didn't want to put this on my family. And I was high speed, and I got pulled over by a police officer, and I spoke to him. He said, listen, document everything. There's nothing that the police can do at that point, because you need to have documentation. You have to have evidence. They can't just storm the house and say, you know, you're getting arrested. But I also knew I wasn't going to put myself through it. Like that was a huge wake up call, because I have this male figure, this male officer sympathizing with me and wanted to help me. And that's why I have so much respect, not just because my family is in law enforcement, because of this one police officer in Fredericton.
Saved your life.
He saved my life.
Wow.
And so the next day, I called Bender's when she was living at her mom's.
Did you get a speeding ticket?
No, he didn't give me a speeding ticket. I think he was like, this girl has a lot going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So
okay, good.
Yeah, he talked to me on the side of the road, and it was a good conversation. Yeah. And he followed me right home.
Wow.
And
that's amazing.
It was great. So I was like, hey, this officer knows where I live.
Yeah.
You know, and
there's somebody that's understanding.
Yeah.
It's not
and
just
looking
me.
out for you and knowing what's going on.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's like the first time you were able to be honest with somebody about what you're going through, probably.
And somebody not judging you.
Yeah.
Or pretending it's not happening.
And a lot of people, like when I started coming out about it, people like my friends were like, we kind of had an idea something was going on, but so many people are scared to go, Caitlin, like, are you okay?
Just scared to tell you, like,
they're afraid to question it because it is a sensitive subject.
Or they don't want to make you feel uncomfortable. Or they don't want to seem like the bad person. I know when before, like the relationships that I was in, it was getting very toxic and very bad at the end. And, you know, I would retaliate because of things that were suppressed for so long. And I was becoming a person, not that I really liked at all. But I remember, you know, a good friend of mine saying, this has got to end. Yeah. This has got to end. There's no more going back.
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
Joe's mouthing at you to talk in the mic, but you absolutely are.
Yes.
I absolutely am. You want me to lick it?
You should. I wish we had a recording of how he was like holding that mic. But also, people, you probably honestly wouldn't have been honest. I'm sure. You probably
and that's the
lied.
thing too. Like it's you fabricate things, right?
Or you just avoid it.
It's almost you want to defend that person that is.
I wanted
doing
to protect
things.
him.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
Because you're
Out
in
of
that
fear.
trauma bond.
Yeah.
Fear. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you call Bender up.
Yes.
Bender.
Yes, and her.
She's like the hero of the story, right?
She is. She truly is. And
you are, but she's like to the rescue.
Yes, I have two wonderful best friends that helped me
Robin
through it all.
To your Batman.
Yes, absolutely. And so when I called, her crazy mother, lover, heard me crying, and I broke down, and that's when I said, I need help.
Yeah.
She didn't ask what was going on.
Nope.
Nothing. But she knew enough. Okay, I have Chris crying. I never cried. I never showed emotion.
Yeah.
And she yelled, Megan, get your suitcase. You're flying out to New Brunswick.
Oh my God. Amazing.
Yeah. She came out the next day.
Wow.
Yeah. And we had a whole plan, sent an email to myself and said that I had this career opportunity. Training was going to be in Ontario and that they were going to put an office into Fredericton. Wow. So we had a game plan.
Yeah.
But I did not necessarily know where I was going.
Mm-hmm. Was he still in training at this point?
No, he was home.
Back home now.
He was home. Yep.
So scary.
He was home, and he was scared of Megan. So remember, Megan told Tom, aka Kyle, that if he ever hurt me, she was going to kill him. And through those years, he got to know Megan very well.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
no kidding.
When Megan and we had kind of a falling out. Mm-hmm. I was still the first person she called when she was in Oshawa, when she needed a ride, when she wasn't in a good place.
Yeah.
And literally, if we would have saw each other on the streets, we probably would have fist fought.
Yeah.
But I knew she was in trouble.
Yeah.
And I drove all the way to Oshawa.
Yeah.
And that was like an awkward car ride. But then it also made us talk. Like, you're in my car. It's either we're going to talk, you're going to tuck and roll.
Yeah.
And you're going to get out.
Yeah.
So she showed up at the house and he's like, oh yeah, like I think that'd be a great idea for you. Cause he was always the kind person in public.
Yeah.
Right.
You have your friend now.
Yeah. I have my friend. So I only took a bag of clothes, like a garbage bag. Mm-hmm. I couldn't take anything. I couldn't take pictures. I couldn't take my dog.
Would it be too obvious?
Obvious. And I wanted to get out of there as safe as I could.
Yeah.
And also because I had Megan. And Megan doesn't look good behind bars at this point. So I kind of wanted to save her too.
Absolutely.
And we drove straight to Ontario.
Never looked back.
Never went back. Back.
When do you think he realized that you weren't coming back?
Thanksgiving.
And when did you leave?
September.
Did you talk to him at all after?
Little bits, because I was trying to get my financials in order.
Absolutely.
I had to open different bank accounts. I was able, because he had control of the bank accounts, I was able to scramble up a couple $100. And that's all I had to my name, a couple $100. And I made sure that I had a job to go to once I got to Ontario. I had everything lined up.
You were starting,
I was starting over, and
which is such a scary thing, but opens up so many new opportunities for you now.
Absolutely.
Did you feel safe when you came back home?
100%.
Good.
100%. I was with my people, and So my other best friend, Laura, her mom is a godsend. She actually let me live there with her and didn't charge me anything.
Just to get back up on your feet.
Just to get back up on my feet.
Yeah.
I then was able to sit down and talk to my parents.
Yeah.
And if anyone knows my stepfather, I'm not going to say his name. He has a lot of friends in town, but they're not really friends. People he has pulled over.
Yeah.
I have never seen that straight up face and anger.
Yeah.
In
Emotion,
him.
probably.
Yeah.
And like, they're probably at this point, like, how did we not know? Or where did we not see things switch?
Yeah.
But you wanted to hide it, right?
Yeah. And we become so good at masking things.
Absolutely. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
We did. And so I lived with my best friend's mom, and I was able to get up on my feet. I had my own bank account, and then for the first time, like I had control of it all. But I also felt like I was kind of starting out, like when you're young and you have your first job and you're learning about
like a
money.
little naive almost.
Yeah. And I'm like, so I was super stressed out financially. I need to make sure I have money in my account, because in my mind, it's like, I never want to be put in a situation where that happens and I have to leave.
You're going in that fighting mode again. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So and I still am. Yeah. To this day.
Yeah. Right.
Even though I have a great man by my side, I'm still, but he's a blessing because he understands it.
You're trained that way to think for so long.
Yeah.
Now your brain is actually switched, it's developed in a different way.
Yeah.
How was your eating disorder when you were going through this move back? Like, were you in recovery still?
No, I was still going through bulimia. And
were you still heavily in the gym?
Yes. So I start going back to the gym, like, cause I had taken a bit of time off.
Yeah, of course.
And then my best friend Laura and her mom, there was a gym across the road.
I think I remember seeing you there.
Yeah, the little small gym. What was it, like Fit for Life or something?
Yeah.
And I started going, and I invested in a trainer, Sarah Wild, with Iron Barbie.
Okay.
And
Sarah, shout out.
Yeah. Hi, Sarah.
Hi,
She's
Sarah.
actually moving back to Ontario, so I'm super excited.
Yeah.
So she took me under her wing, and I idolized her. She was this young girl who competed in
she hit it
figure.
hard.
And I think who also went through a really nasty breakup as well.
She went through a very hard breakup, and she too faced a lot of
aversion and just
eating and
absolutely. So especially being that heavily involved at a young age.
Yeah, and she had a great business. Like she was booming.
Yeah, she killed it. Yeah.
Booming. So after I got with Sarah, I found that I was actually starting to recover from my eating disorder, and I started to have a good relationship with food.
Yeah.
So I find if you find those people, and they say it's very like people are getting sick of it, but women empowerment. Holy
Who is
hell.
getting sick of it? I would like to talk to them.
I'm rehearsing for this possible speaking at on Women's Day, and I'm like, fuck, we are such bad bitches.
Yep.
We really are.
There's still so much more to do.
Absolutely.
Fuck yeah, we're not done yet. Look out, Joey.
We're coming for you.
But like to have a female on your side who's empowering at that point, who's picking you up. There's nothing like it.
No. And having two best friends, like Megan was heavily involved with her horses, and she had this, want to be able to run her own, ranch. And then I had my best friend Laura. She was going through in healthcare.
Yes.
And that was one of my main reasons too why I got into healthcare was because I looked up to both those women. Like they truly showed me what it is to be a very strong, independent woman.
And now you have your own purpose.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you were working on recovering. You were working on training for your first show at that point?
No. Actually, so we're in 2015, and I actually started dating a friend of mine, and he was transitioning into becoming an RCMP officer, and his first posting was in a Hutterite, a Mennonite town, not Amish. They're kind of similar.
I don't know the difference?
So there was the Hutterites and Mennonites in a small Ukrainian 5,000 population town we moved to out in the middle of Alberta.
Moved
and
back out west for this guy.
Yeah, I moved out west.
Who was a friend that you developed a friendship when you were in with your ex.
And he knew exactly what was going on because he too was in a relationship that was abusive physically.
Okay. Yeah.
And so we were able to connect on that. We connected on fitness.
Yeah. Just having a safe place to be understood.
Yeah, he was my best friend.
Career-wise, too.
Yeah. He was my best friend. But again, with that job, it involves like they made good money. They did. And I ran my own personal training business because it was hard to get a job in a small town like that. Yeah. It was hard. Yeah. So I did my own training business.
Turning your passion into something that you can help others, right? And have an income. No doubt you did.
So I started doing that, but there was a lot of backlash too because being a very small town and law enforcement and people were kind of putting two together that I was a spouse of an RCMP officer. So I ended up folding my business down and I started driving 50 minutes to Sherwood Park. Wow. And I started working at Good Life.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's when I noticed things weren't happening right in our relationship.
Okay.
And I don't know. And I always like, how do I attract these people? Like, what am I doing wrong at this point?
Yeah.
It's
not you. I
don't think it is me at all. I think.
Well, we know that. No, absolutely. It's not.
Yeah. No. Yeah. So, it sucked because in 2013, I lost my cousin Cody in a, go-karting accident. Took his go-kart out for a test drive. And unfortunately, he got in an accident and he passed away on the morning of my birthday. Wow. So I was in Niagara Falls at this point, and nobody's calling to wish me a happy birthday. No one's posting on my Facebook.
Yeah, it's like, well, now you're really making me feel
and I'm
shitty.
Thinking like, I'm like, everyone forgot my birthday. Like, I make it known that it's my birthday. Absolutely. I give you a month notice. It's my birthday. That's
celebrate me.
Yes, that's why we're in Niagara Falls. And that's when my youngest sister texts me and she goes, stay off social media. I'm just giving you a heads up. Something terrible has happened. And my first thought was I had a Yorkie Pomeranian. Okay. I thought something happened.
It's crazy where your mind drifts. Yeah. Right? We were just talking about this with Buzz when you're delivered news and your mind just drifts in like the craziest ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And then I said to her, my dog's name was Jagger. Yeah. And I said, is everything okay with Jagger? Yeah. She said, it's Cody.
Okay.
And you never want to think that you're going to lose a family member. And I said, Cody who? She goes, our cousin Cody, he passed away. Mm-hmm. And our friends drove so fast from Niagara Falls to get me home. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so I could be with my aunt and uncle. Yeah. So I never celebrated my birthday since really 2013. Yeah. I felt not guilt, but I just felt like how inappropriate it is for me to celebrate something on a day that I know my aunt and uncle and family are mourning. Grieving. Yeah.
Can I tell you something? Because this has been something that we have gone through and that we have actually brought up on the podcast. And maybe you can celebrate this year, because one thing that we know is very true is that two things can coexist. Mm-hmm. Oh, and we say it on here all the time. Mm-hmm. You can grieve and you can still be celebrating. Mm-hmm. You can feel sad and still have moments of joy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think that comes to where you were going to start celebrating.
Yeah. So, I decided, you know what, 2019, I'm taking back my birthday. You're really good
at dates, like dating everything.
Yeah. Oh, it was
like everything was 2012.
Yeah. And it's funny because when you go through trauma, you actually, when you reflect back on it, it's the little things. Like, mm-hmm. I can tell you the time, I can tell you the date, mm-hmm. I could tell you what I was wearing. Mm-hmm. Like I can tell you absolutely everything because those are what is forever going to be engraved in my head.
Piercing.
Yeah.
Where other things just don't add up. You're like almost frustrated because your brain is in that protective mode and it's not allowing you to make those connections because it is protecting you. But it's almost like, I know those pair of pants when Gwendolyn died, I still have them. They have a slight grass stain on them for me rolling around because and begging somebody, please help her. Or help, save her. And that's engraved. But I don't remember who, I don't remember big details.
No.
Just the little small ones, right?
Yeah.
So you are now, how many years is this? 6 years after you're 13? 5?
4.
4. 4. 6, 5, 4.
Yeah.
4 years later, you're wanting to take that day back or have some sort of joy.
Yeah.
Which you deserve.
Yeah. And it started out great. We went to the rec room, which is really big out there, all the video games. And we had some friends come with us. And I developed a friendship with one of my clients. She was a single mom.
Yep.
And we hit it off. And then we ended up going to the hotel room where we were all staying. And I had gone out to join my friend in having a smoke. And I come back up and my person at that time was actually in bed with that friend of mine.
That single mom. That single mom.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I didn't see that coming at all.
Yeah. They were having sex.
Okay. I've always imagined if I was placed in a situation like that, how the heck would I react?
What did you do?
What did you do?
I froze and it felt like all my trauma was coming back.
Yeah.
Did they realize that you had walked in?
Absolutely, because I whispered in his ear.
Oh my God.
And I said, wrong girl.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Wow.
So this was obviously intentional, what he was doing.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And what'd she do? Like, what did you...
You know what? Like that part, I can't tell you because I can't remember.
You blacked out.
I blacked out. Yeah. So the next morning, because I'd left that room. And
oh my God. But you're still at the same hotel as them?
Yep.
Holy F.
Yeah.
How...
Yeah, because I was drinking. So, and I'm in Edmonton, so we're an hour away from
Fuck you.
home.
You're not going to take this day away from me already.
Yeah. So then I start thinking like.
This was on your birthday?
On my birthday.
Yeah, the birthday. And as a friend, he knew prior to what happened to her cousin.
Yeah. So here I am like
What an
thinking,
asshole.
like maybe I wasn't supposed to celebrate my birthday. This is karma. You know what I mean? Like that. So again.
He passed away. This is karma. That I'm finding a way to put it on myself.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then that next morning, and that's where a lot of people are like, I would have beat her up, like I would have strangled him.
That's what I mean. Like
and
you feel like you would know when you walk into something like that, but then you're like,
it's total shock. Like
especially when all of the trauma is coming in back in for you.
So I calmly went down into the lobby and asked for her to come sit down with me and have a coffee. And I told her, I said, listen, I'm not the type of person that's going to leave you here stranded. I would never do that to another woman. I would not leave you in the middle of Edmonton.
Yes.
We will drive you home. We'll make sure you get home safe. I said, but moving forward, our contract training is gone.
Yeah.
Our friendship is gone. You are not to have any contact with myself or with him.
Wow.
We are done. And I'm not going to say a word to anyone, especially being a very small town.
Yeah.
It gets around. I said, again, I felt like I was wanting to protect her because she is a single mom.
Yeah.
You know, she
It's
has
the empathy you have.
Yeah. So I understand. My mom was a single mom for a bit as well. Wow. And my sister was a single mom. So I was like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not the type. You can be that type. But I'm not.
That takes a certain someone.
Yep. So
because I would have definitely left her in the middle of Edmonton.
Yeah.
I would have been like,
I would have left both of them.
Yeah. You're big enough to make this decision to do that. You're big enough to find a way home.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Yeah. So
you're better than we are.
I like to think so. Now I don't think.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what it has, but like you can ask my mom. I'm so thankful there's not like call a friend or a family and like talk to them, because my mom would say like I was a hell child. I talked back all the time. I was grounded all the time.
Yeah.
I literally drove them up the wall.
Yeah.
Like,
well, you're probably just beat down so much too. You're just trying to probably save some peace for yourself.
Yeah.
You know, did you continue this with him after?
Yep. So 2019, but then that is kind of where I was like, you know what? You want to be selfish? I'm going to be selfish too.
Yeah.
That's when I got into bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Because
again, you told me, or I've been told I can't.
Me feel this way.
Yeah.
Now you've made me feel very gross. I'm going to show you just how gross it can be, right?
So, I got into,
What? No, like you showed how, no, like how, like talking down and making, like, that's gross what he did to her, obviously, or, so she's now going back to saying you want,
like tit for tat. Like,
yeah.
Do you get it?
More like how strong.
Well, but like meaning like, I know that's fuck off.
I ended up reaching out to I reached out to another girl who just got into bodybuilding in our small town, and she directed me to her coach Stacy with Stacks Fitness.
Okay.
And I reached out to her. We had a great conversation, and she's like, "Let's do this."
Yeah.
So
I want to be the badass I've always known I could be.
Yeah.
And
it drove him nuts.
Good.
It literally, he was so angry because he was a man in uniform. It had to be about his career, had to be about him. And now the spotlight was off of him. Yeah. I was prepping for a show. I was no longer going out drinking. No. I was no longer.
You had discipline.
Yeah. I was focusing on my meals.
And you had a goal.
Yeah. I wasn't focusing making sure he had a hot dinner to come home to, because most of the time it was being microwaved because he was always late. And I remember in 2019, I had 9 people show up for me, and we stayed in an Airbnb the whole way from where we lived to Calgary. We fought. He didn't want to talk to me. He said, "This is stupid. Why are you doing this?" Like, he was like, he hated it. Yeah. He absolutely hated it.
Yeah. Because it was about you.
It was about me. And he saw that I had my confidence back.
Yeah.
And I felt at that moment, I'm like, you know what? I'm feeling myself. Yeah. He sees on social media that you get comments or whatever. Yeah. So I was like, oh, but it's okay for him to physically be with someone. And I told him, I said, I can't control what people post online. Yeah. Yeah. I can't. I could control on how I react to it. Yeah. I said, but you didn't have any control on my birthday.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So you don't have a leg to stand on.
It's also hard for you guys to move past that if like there's resentment there too.
And there was a lot of resentment.
Oh, absolutely. Like, how do you look back at this person? Right?
And I can't. And
icky.
Yeah. And I remember getting up that morning and I was getting glammed up. My girlfriend, she came all the way from Sherwood Park to do my makeup. Yeah. And she was such a you guys remind me of her. She is so warm and
me.
Yeah.
She's actually quite cold of a person.
Stone cold. It's all a facade.
But it does feel good, right? Yeah. So you got on that stage.
Yeah, I got on that stage, and
did you give him the finger?
Well, he didn't even come out that morning to look at my overall look. But I did not give a shit.
No, because you know what? Part of it, it's like, you're that vindictive. We all have it in us when we want to be a little bit vindictive.
Oh, yeah. We can be petty.
I am so spiteful.
Go back and just be like, no, if you're going to do this to me, I'm going to do it 10 times, essentially. Yeah. Right. So, but being able to go out there and do that is such a huge thing for you, too. Yeah.
Especially
and if you look back at when you were that vulnerable little girl who, was raped by somebody that you trusted, you're a survivor, not a victim.
And I appreciate that. And it took me, it's honestly probably like 3 years ago. Like I said those words. Yeah. Those same words.
Say them.
I am a survivor, not a victim.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Right? How empowering is that?
It was a moment. And I got to share that moment by myself.
Yeah.
Like
this is me.
Yeah. It was a good feeling.
Wow. Yeah. So you left his ass.
Yeah. So after I did my show, I actually told my coach and a few of the women that were on my team, and they're like, you need to get out. Yeah. And I said, absolutely. But then COVID hit.
Oh, so you were stuck there.
But I wasn't stuck because we ended up moving. We ended up getting our posting.
Yeah.
So in May 1st, we had the keys to our new house in Dieppe, New Brunswick, just outside of Moncton. And so we moved there. And I didn't want to sit and collect CERB. Like, I was always raised to, if something's not working, go find something else. And I saw how my best friend was succeeding in healthcare. So that was the only thing that was open at that point. Right. And they were in dire need. So I applied to KLC here in Kingston.
Okay.
And I did my online portion. And then I came down here to finish my placements. I ended up staying on a 6-month contract with a long-term care home.
Okay.
Unfortunately, and my ex, he ended up getting sick. So I actually broke my contract. And
being the person that you are, went back.
Yeah. And I went and made sure he was okay. I tried to find a job in healthcare in New Brunswick, but they don't pay well. And that's why, like, I was always confused. I'm like, why do people want to move to New Brunswick?
Yeah.
It's not cheap.
Yeah.
It's not like when before COVID hit.
We
like,
wanted to move to New Brunswick.
Oh, don't
Who's
do
we?
it.
We. Not you and I. My husband.
Oh, this is news to me.
No,
is it?
don't.
Yeah, I feel like it is. Don't do it. No,
don't
bad
do it.
omen.
Honestly.
So was that when you just officially were like, I'm?
Yeah. So I got out of healthcare because they only paid like $14 an hour. So New Brunswick's minimum wage is like $11.75.
Oh my God.
Yeah. They don't have rental caps. So my girlfriend had a 2-bedroom apartment for 10 years, paid $850 for it.
Yeah.
She got served with $1,000 increase in her rent, single mom. Our property taxes were out. Like, we owned a duplex.
Yeah.
Like, it was 4 times more of what my mom pays here in Napanee.
Oh my goodness.
Our taxes are not cheap. So
it was bad. So we bought our house, a brand new built before COVID. It was $199, and he sold it for close to $400,000. Wow.
Yeah.
So that's like, and that's everywhere too. But you're just, I find if you aren't with a union or if you're not working for the government, like it's hard to live down there.
Yeah, it's hard.
So you were in New Brunswick, and then you, like, I want to kind of like catch up to speed now because I know that you have a lot of exciting things to share too.
Yeah.
So you left healthcare.
And I went in Under Armour, ended up opening up a store. Phenomenal company.
Okay.
I was being paid more there than I was within healthcare. Under Armour.
Okay. Like the Under Armour you wear.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Cool.
Yeah. The bonuses were amazing.
Okay.
Like, I banked there.
Yeah.
But I also knew that my passion was, like, I wanted to be helping others.
Absolutely.
And I made the decision. I said, listen, I want to go back to Ontario.
Yeah.
Is there any way you would transfer to the RCMP in Kingston?
Yeah.
And he's like, you know what? Like, I wouldn't mind. So I came down here. I ended up getting a job at Province Care Hospital and rehabilitation. So my unit is brain injury and
acquired brain injury.
Yeah, spinal injuries. And that's how we lived our life. We lived our life separate, but I also realized that, you know, it was always about him.
Yeah.
And he even would talk to my father about, you know, joining OPP or, you know, going with the RCMP. And I worked with one of the wives whose husband is RCMP in Kingston. And she's like, if he needs to connect with someone, like, he'll talk to him. Yeah. So he was actually planning on coming down. And
at this point, so you're here, he's there, planning to come down.
Yeah, to visit, come for a week and kind of get familiar with it.
Yeah.
And I was looking at hotels because he wanted to go to Niagara Falls.
Yeah.
And
Niagara Falls is your spot.
It is. Oh my God. Have you been to Mamma Mia's?
I want to take the kids this summer.
Oh, go to Mamma Mia's. Like,
I'm terrified to take them, but
it's
wild.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Dave and Buster's.
If they don't behave, take them to what is that scary place there?
Safari. I don't know.
Screamers.
No.
No, when you go into
like the haunted houses.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Take them in that.
Okay.
Put them in their place.
I will never go on one of those again. They say they don't chase you, but they do chase you. Yeah.
Oh, they absolutely do.
Yeah.
Frig yeah.
Yeah. So, he, for the week, like, you know how, like, you kind of like, I don't know. I think I was tapped out at that point.
Yeah.
And I was kind of, in a way, waiting for him to make the move.
Okay.
And that's when he sent the text saying that I was too toxic for his mental health. And that he didn't know if this is what he wanted.
Yeah.
And okay.
Yeah.
It's funny how that shifts,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
Yeah.
And that was that.
Yeah.
So you went back out, got your stuff.
I went out
with
got my
Bender.
stuff. No,
what?
I went out with Laura.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
We went out. I got my stuff, and the best part is when he put the picture frames of us in the box.
Why do I want these?
I was like, I looked at him and I was just like why? So like I literally like took them all out. I'm like, you can do whatever you want with it.
Yeah.
I even placed my 2 cats with 2 of my friends.
Yeah.
And they still send me pictures.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yes. And I left. And I'm so
you left
again?
again?
I'm so very thankful I did, because I ended up finding out when I came to do my schooling in Ontario, he was having a 2-year affair with another RCMP member.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Who is...
You're just dropping the bombs
it
on
doesn't
us.
stop piling on. Holy.
You can write a book, girl.
Yeah. I actually just recently found this out.
Does that hurt and sting for you now, or are you kind of over it?
It's kind of like, oh, wow.
I find it very ironic.
Yeah.
I do. I honestly, I find humor in it, because he will do it again.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, because
Yeah.
he always said he didn't want kids. And it's not that I don't want kids. I've tried a few times and I've lost and had multiple miscarriages. So I've accepted that I'm going to be the cool auntie.
Yeah.
Like,
You were great with my kids.
yeah, like I'll throw them around.
Yeah.
I'll pass them. You want to play helicopter?
I'll leave them here.
Yeah.
I'll go back to
Testing.
my quiet place with my dog.
Yeah.
But it's almost like a blessing in disguise.
It was.
Him being like, listen.
You know what? And it was great.
People don't realize, like, things come like around, like everything
Happens for a
around.
reason.
I mean, do I believe that? Yes, a little bit at times. I believe the universe has a place for you. Definitely. But cheaters, for example, like, it's all going to shed
Yep.
a light. Like,
Absolutely.
There's going to be things that come out.
And
you're going to find out
and
whether
she's-
it's 2 years from now,
Yeah, and
right?
she has 2 kids.
Oops, yeah.
Are
they still together?
I believe so.
Oh, good
And
on them.
then she's like 12 or 10 or something years older.
Yep.
So, and he's a very selfish man. Like, I literally, when I was home, I had a Porsche come into my driveway. And I said, do you have a friend coming? No, I bought that. I'm like, what? He bought a Porsche without talking. Ended up he got bored.
Porsche. I wish.
He got bored of it after 4 months, sold that, got a Harley motorcycle.
I feel like that tells a lot about
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that just kind of
How he
tells
is with
you
women,
what kind of
right?
Seven
person he
cars.
is.
7 cars he has gone through because he gets bored of it. So
Yeah.
it's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
Do I want him to be happy? Absolutely. I do. Like, I will
Because
never
it takes
wish.
because that's the human being in you.
Yeah, because there's
But
no
holding
kids
on to
involved.
anger, though, too,
Yeah.
for you, it's exhausting for you as
It's
well.
too much. And now how my life has
And
played
now,
out.
enlighten us before we have to
Yeah.
wrap this up.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
like, so you're heavily
Another plot twist.
You're
is that
but you're heavily involved in bodybuilding,
Yep.
and you recently,
I won my overall
Yes.
in figure in first place.
Yeah.
After I promised that individual that I would never compete again. I met a phenomenal man, and he literally, out of the 16 weeks of prep, I maybe prepped my meals for 1 week. He prepped every single meal. He did the housework to make sure I was sleeping because I was working shift work.
yeah.
He made sure that I was
Sounds
on top
like
of my
little
game.
things, but it's actually.
I think
is.
it just
Especially
shows
from where
you
you've been through.
Yeah.
And other is that, like, once you're able to kind of get a clear view on things outside of that trauma bond, what a difference it can make for you and your
Absolutely.
life. That there
Yeah.
are doors that are gonna close, but there's gonna be ones that open.
Yes.
Right. So flash us your ring.
Oh, yeah.
P.S.
got
Look at
engaged.
this diamond. Yeah, I see it often at the gym.
Yes.
Doing my lifts, and
Yeah.
over just glance.
Being
you know.
blinded.
Yeah,
at the
blinded
gym.
by
Yes.
the light. Yeah.
So now you're competing. You're in a really healthy relationship. You're planning your wedding.
Oh, girl, it's already planned. It's done. Deposits are down.
Look at that smile. Like, just
any
honestly,
ice sculptures though?
No, there's not going to be an ice sculpture.
Those ice sculptures. But
Hell no.
just your like persona and like, you know, you've just lightened up since talking about this.
Yeah.
You know,
and my fiance even said, like, when everything was starting to happen, and then when I got my email on Tuesday, I'm getting out of healthcare.
Yes.
I'm going to miss everybody at Napanee Hospital and Promise Care Hospital, but I'm transitioning into corrections, and I'm looking forward to it because it was something I've wanted to do.
It's always like everything's kind of coming
aligned
the way, again, the universe and what it is meant to do for you.
And I'm super excited. Like every day I'm super excited to see what the day brings. And since I got that email, my fiance said, it just seems like your shoulders are more relaxed.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. And those are the little things.
For first time since in a long time, probably, right?
Yep. It's crazy thinking about. I had that one.
Sorry, no, you go.
It's crazy thinking about. Well, just to say this because it's perspective. You know, in the beginning, mid of this, being in a place that you felt like you wanted to end your life because you were so unhappy in the life that you were in, you know, you had the will to live, but you were so unhappy, to be waking up every day and just feeling so happy and blessed. Like,
to feel happiness.
Yeah. I just feel like that's really hopeful. And I appreciate you like sharing the hard stuff that got you there too.
Absolutely. Yeah. And like, absolutely. Like, I know there's going to be a lot of viewers that can relate to your story or that are you and like can't see that other side through, you know, that dark cloud right now. But what is something that you would say to them to wrap this episode up? You know, best knowing your past self and knowing this self now.
That don't ever view putting yourself first to be selfish, because at the end of the day, truly at the end of the day, it was myself who got myself out of that position. It was myself who made these changes in my life. I had all the support, but it was me that I had to wake up and I would have to work at it.
Absolutely.
So it's just a matter of separating being selfish and separating putting yourself first, because at the end of the day, you only have you. You truly do. So everything else will come, but you got to pick yourself first. And you have to
put your own mask on first. We say that all the time here.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again for joining us. And wow. I can't wait to see.
I know. Yes. So we're going to have this up on Spotify and YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are almost at 1,000 followers, which is insane.
Amazing.
And we will be so happy. Maybe we can do a little giveaway or something when we hit that 1,000 follower mark.
We can do that.
I think with this episode, we'll get there because it was really great. Thank you for sharing it with us.
I really appreciate it, guys.
Cool. Okay,
Thank
bye,
you.
guys.
See ya.